Hi, I'm Joshua Michael Payne, director of Just In Case, and this is The Hot Set. First thing to mention, I think it's important to mention, is that I actually co-directed it. I did it alongside a good friend of mine, Aaron Maloney, and it was my first feature film. It's sort of the story of two different people, kind of in a circumstance that they don't understand, finding themselves. I don't want to give away much more than that, because the circumstance they don't understand would be a big giveaway, but that's a big part of it. About a year ago, or actually it'll probably be 2 years now, she sort of had this idea for the script, because she also wrote the script, and I loved it. I thought it was a great idea, really good premise, and so we decided we were going to work together and we were going to make this thing happen, and we just set a date and did it. My first project was a short film called Speechless. It's the story of a boy meeting girl, basically, in Coney Island, and they both have lost someone. Them meeting sort of opens up a lot of new doors. So there's some similar themes there. I'm finding sort of my niche as a director already, and I've only done how many projects. So I went into making Speechless, like I said before, not knowing anything. Like, all I knew is I love acting, sort of my first love, and I love film, and I'm just gonna make a movie. And I never went to film school, and I never studied film or anything. And so I bought Filmmaking for Dummies, literally. Like, I bought the book, read it through twice, and I was like, alright, I'm doing this. And I made it, and it has some things that now later that I know a little bit more I would change, but for a start, for no film school, I'm pretty proud of it. Oh man, there were a lot of obstacles that we had to overcome. The biggest obstacle, I would say, was personnel, because like, I hadn't gone to film school, like I said, so I didn't have like the big set of connections of people who I knew, like DPs and sound guys and stuff. Like, I don't know any of those people, you know? So I had to find them and either hire them and pay them a whole bunch of money that I didn't have, or not pay them any money and get a bad product. We got really lucky. Aaron has a really good friend from Florida, where she's from. His name is Mitchell Worley. He is a really talented DP. We flew him up from Florida, and since it was his first feature, he was willing to do it for free, with all of his equipment. So we had a full stash of camera equipment that we didn't have to pay anything for, which was amazing. And I still am thanking him. Like, I'm like, Mitch, thank you so much. And it looks great too. Like, we're just looking at the rough footage, and I'm like, he did a great job. From the few films that I had acted in, I knew a couple ADs, I knew some sound guys, so I reached out to them and was like, hey, how low can you go? And they were really accommodating, and we ended up getting a functioning crew that covered all the bases for a really good price. Our main source of funding was Fundly. It's a crowdfunding thing, kind of like Kickstarter and Indiegogo, except a little bit lesser known. We just simply chose to go with Fundly because they have a lower rate you have to pay them out of the percentage that you make. So we got a big part of our fundraising through that, which was great, and we met our goal, which was as low as $5,000, because we didn't want to raise much more than that from the public. So we had a lot of support from people that we knew, from people that we didn't know through Fundly, and then through some relatives on her side and my side. Well, the style for Just In Case, I think it can be described, we talked about a little bit in pre-production that we were both big fans of the Before Sunrise, Before Sunset, Before Midnight series from Richard Linklater. Those films are really, really simple, you know, like, they're so captivating, but they're really just two characters. Like, these two characters talking. Both myself and Aaron sort of watched these movies, and we're really impressed at how captivating they were, despite how simple they were. And that's sort of something we wanted to try and emulate with this. We have two characters in the film. One character, Rudy, who's played by Andrew Eibach. The other, Kate, who's played by Erin herself. It's just some really good, really meaty dialogue that is captivating in and of itself. You know, like, we have these great locations and we accomplish some really cool things, but what's going to hold the audience's attention is really the dialogue. We definitely got some of that from Linklater's films, and maybe even a little bit cliche, but Wes Anderson, you know, like the cutesy, kitschy style. We have a little bit of that thrown in there too. So I think they were both definitely a part of the inspiration. Co-directing was interesting. I mean, it was my first time co-directing, just like it was my first time doing a feature of any kind. As every director knows, we always have a vision, you know, like I see the scene happening this way, but if there's two people, and if you're anyone but the Coen brothers, you just have different ideas on how the scene plays out. One of the things we did well was we really sat down before, like during pre-production, and we said, okay, how do we want to storyboard this? How does this want to look? How does this want to look? So we were super on the same page by the time we actually got to production, which I think is necessary if you're going to co-direct with anyone. Out of the two films I've done, I definitely feel like I had a better time shooting Just in Case, by far. I mean, I knew most of the people going in, so it wasn't, you didn't have much of the awkward, like, hey, I'm the director, you're the grip, I'm gonna be your boss now. I knew them, we were friends, and I knew that they were gonna work, you know, which was nice. Not that they didn't on Speechless, but I knew that they were people I could have a good time with and people I could work with. On Speechless, since I was hiring people I didn't know, like, I looked at their resume and I looked at their reels and said, hey, would you be willing to do this project? They came on the project and they did their jobs and they did it well, but their heart wasn't like in it, you know, like the people who read the script and I knew and was like, hey, listen, I can't pay you much of anything, but would you be willing to work on this? And they read the script and they're like, yeah, I would, to have my name attached to a project and to work with you guys. And I think that kind of atmosphere, bringing people together and everyone's heart being in it, just makes for a really great time on set. And I think everyone who was there would agree that it was a really good time. There's a scene in the script that takes place at a train station, but it was my plan to go to the Poughkeepsie train station, hide from like all the train people, and just shoot when they weren't looking, because I don't think we're allowed to shoot there. I found out later we probably weren't. At the train station, some conductor was like, he saw us filming finally, and he goes, yeah, you're not supposed to, but you can do whatever. And we're like, all right. So we went in like planning to just shoot like guerrilla style, whatever, do what we can, and then we ended up having the whole day there and getting like exactly what we were hoping for. So it's been difficult, but it's been fun, you know, kind of. I think there's some element of honesty maybe when you haven't had anyone teaching you direction style, if that makes sense. Like, I didn't have anyone ever saying, if you want to convey this story, do it this way, or if you want to do this, do it this way. I haven't had that at all. I've just had the book, Filmmaking for Dummies, and they don't offer opinion. It's just all fact in there. I think there's some form of honesty in that every shot I do in whatever is coming from a place of, that's how I think the story would be best told. It's not how Professor What's-His-Name said, this is how you should do it. It's how I think the story would be best served in this particular moment. I definitely am a combination of both. Like, I don't by any means bash people who went to film school or say they made the wrong decision, because I think it was probably the right decision, actually. Like, you learn a lot at film school. Not to mention the connections. Like the connections I have in the acting world. Like, I know easily 30, 40, 50 actors who, if I need for something, I can say, hey, come on and read for this. I don't know that I wish I had gone to film school. I mean, parts of me wishes I knew more about the technical side of things sometimes, which you get from film school. Like, they teach you things that I shouldn't be learning on set about technique, probably. As far as the artistic side, I'm happy. I'm just kind of expressing myself how I feel. But from a technical side, I think I got a lot, like, from reading books that would have been easier if a person were explaining it. So I'm kind of on the fence on it overall. I think at this point I'm not going to go to film school because I've made a film or two. So, I don't know. I feel like it's been the first 2-3 years learning stuff I do now already know. So I think it's fun. It's a learning process and it's a fun process, and I love being on set no matter what I'm doing. So definitely gonna keep at it.
Ready?
No.
I don't see how anybody could hate it here, though. It's still my favorite place in the world. Just in case.